welcome back to the channel. Today I'm here with Jolene from Wild Creatures Apothecary in Alvin, Texas, and we are talking all things herbal remedies, and I cannot wait to introduce you to her. This is her.
Hi, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I'm so excited about this topic because I feel like people are really trying to get back to taking care of themselves with natural remedies instead of grabbing that cough syrup that's full of sugar off the shelf or having to go to the doctor.
Sugar is the least of the worries. Sugar is really the least of the worries.
Oh, don't tell me that. Okay, we're gonna get into all of that, and I have some questions for her, so we will get to know all the nitty-gritty of how to get started, how she does what she does, and how she can help you guys too. So actually, talking about that, how did you get started?
Well, it's a long story, and it's got a lot of twists and turns, but I'll give you the basics. So I am Jolene. My name's Jolene Gilmet. I am a certified hypnobirthing childbirth educator. I'm a doula and an herbalist, and I'm also in the process of finishing up my course to become a clinical herbalist, which just gives me a little bit more of a formal education to treat people in a clinical setting rather than take some garlic, to boost your immune system. We can go in there and in the state of Texas, you don't need a certification to be an herbalist. It just helps me because I did not grow up using traditional medicine. It helps put a little bit of formal education behind what I tell people.
Right.
And I think it sometimes gives others a little bit more confidence in me as well.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's where I am and what I do. And I started about 2009. So I was having my second child in 2009. He was born in 2009. And it seems like after he was born, I walked away from my first two birth experiences really not happy with how my birth went. And it's a story we hear a lot in the childbirth world.
Yes.
And so I just remember walking away from those birthing experiences thinking, it's gotta be different. There's gotta be something else. There's gotta be something I don't know or something I'm missing. And after he was born, I had several health issues pop up, and it seemed like just as we were fixing one, another one would happen, and then another one. Something you might not know about me is I'm also a veteran.
Oh,
so
nice. Thank you for your service.
Thank you. I was in the Army from 2001 to 2006, and I served in Iraq during that time and spent a lot of time in Korea. So I have also been trying to navigate the VA system at this time.
Girl.
I would have a concern. Yeah. Yeah, I would have a concern, and it just seemed like pill after pill after pill.
Yeah.
I didn't know who I was anymore or what I was supposed to do or how I was gonna take care of my kids, because they give you a pill to sleep, but when you go to sleep, there's no waking you up. Or, you're recovering emotionally from trauma or negative events, and then you're just you're calmer, you're not as emotional, but there's really not much personality there left. Right. So I started looking into ways to help myself, and that's how I got started. I started looking at ways to help myself sleep naturally, ways to kind of even my mood naturally, heal my heart naturally, and I was always from that point on, I was the hippie friend. Like, everybody referred to me as the hippie friend, because if there was an issue, I had an oil to rub on it, or I had an herb to add.
You're like, hold on, I got something for that.
Let me pull one of my many oils. I would wear every day. My signature oils were lemongrass and patchouli, and that kind of like sealed the hippie deal. What is that smell? Oh, it's me. Yeah, it's me. There's just something very calming about those two scents together that I was like, okay, this is just my signature. And so that's really where I started personally. Technically, my business started about 4 years ago. And so once that passion was lit for me to bring the childbirth education and become a doula for the community, the herbalism just kind of naturally fell into place. It's the same thing. We don't know what we don't know until somebody tells us. Yeah. And so that's the long story short of how I got started.
got started in this.
I know, I probably got really excited. I was like, but it is exciting to me.
Yeah.
It was a light bulb moment of, I'm not the exception. I'm the rule. Like, there are so many other people out there just like me.
Absolutely. So what is your favorite thing about herbal remedies, if I can say the word?
My favorite thing about herbal remedies goes back to it just being very instinctive. I take what I need for my body, and I'm very in tune with my body at this point that I know what it needs. If I have a bad day where my emotional stress is really high and I can feel my blood pressure going up, or I feel like I'm not interacting well with other people because I'm stressed, I take herbs that will help me with that. I take herbs that will help my blood pressure go down a little bit. I take herbs that will help calm my nerves a little bit. I take herbs that will help me, this is going to sound really hippie, but just open my heart to be maybe a little kinder or gentler with others.
Wow.
And that goes in every aspect of life. If I'm having a bad allergy day, because we live in Southeast Texas, I take herbs for that. Now, I don't sit around and drink 20 teas a day. We provide herbal care in teas and in elixirs and tinctures and salves and ointments. So, like today, my sinuses are a little goopy. I've made us this blend. It's called Carpe Diem. So it's
very good.
It's a little mellow. It's not very earthy like you imagine a lot of herbal teas.
Very mild.
Very mild, yes. And the blend is of herbs that kind of help dry up our sinuses and provide us really nutritional and vitamin benefits to help our bodies kind of tackle what's going on right now. And a little bit of Tulsi Vana, which is an adaptogen that helps our mood a little bit.
I love it. I can use it.
Yeah, nurtures our nervous system. Yeah. And so I needed some Vitex because I think I explained to you that my husband and I are trying, and we've experienced a couple pregnancy losses in the last year. And what that tells me is my body wants to get pregnant. It just isn't staying pregnant. Yeah. So instead of drinking a tea for this and a tea for that, I made this tea. I have a Vitex tincture, which we use for increasing progesterone and helping our bodies hold on to pregnancies a little bit better. And drop the tincture in there, and I've got a 1-cup remedy for myself.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I love that idea of being able to check in with yourself and go, okay, how am I actually feeling right now? Am I stressed? Am I hormonal? Like, what is going on? Because we don't do that.
We don't.
We go, I have a headache because I've already gotten to that stressful point, right? I take a pill. I need to get rid of it so I can move on to the next thing.
Yes, and that's really the preventative care, right? So I know my blood pressure is getting high. I know I'm easily aggravated, and there are chemical reactions that are going on in our bodies. And when your blood pressure goes up, that's when you see blurry vision, headaches, irritability. And so I'm not just treating the blood pressure, I'm also preventing all of those things. So I'm not having to pop more pills.
Right.
The pharmaceutical industry and the medical industry are trillion-dollar industries.
Yes.
And even I hate to say this because I am an herbal supplement. The supplement industry is $31 billion a year. They're money makers.
Absolutely.
So it's really important to trust who you're getting your products from. And again, that goes back to using your instincts. And so I think my favorite thing is self-centered, and we're in a society where that is maybe frowned upon some days, but being self-centered with our own care,
right,
and being an active participant in our own care.
Right.
And using herbs just has a way of nurturing and healing my body in a way that I feel like it was intended, like nature is intended to do. It's simple, it's basic, and it's instinctive.
Right.
On life stuff because she was too busy working.
So this sounds like you have a lot of knowledge in it. I do not. Admittedly, I know nothing about it. She just tells me what to drink and I drink it. But how can the everyday person get started? Like, what is an easy tip for them to kind of dip their toe in the water?
I admit it can be overwhelming because just like modern medicine, there's not a one herb fits all for everyone.
Right.
And so my tip for anybody that's interested in getting started with herbalism for themselves or their families, or even helping with a particular issue is to pick one goal.
Mm.
One goal. So mine in the beginning was my emotional health. I was a mom of 2 and I needed to take care of my emotional health.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first thing I did, again, we go back to knowledge is power, was understand what's happening in my body. What's happening chemically, what's happening physiologically in my body when I'm emotional, when I'm having episodes, or when I just don't feel good mentally.
Yeah.
And so once I understood that, I could understand how to tackle it. And so you don't go into a doctor's office and tell them, I don't feel good emotionally.
Yeah.
And they tell you,
Yeah.
well, this is why. This is,
No.
they say, here's the medicine, here's the medication,
this
right?
will numb you.
This will make you feel better.
Yeah.
And it might and it might not. And if it doesn't, you go back in 6 weeks and you say it's not helping and they give you another one to try.
Right.
And I think that's my recommendation, is find one thing that you would like to improve upon, whether it's a health goal, whether it's a health issue, whether it's a concern. I don't have high blood pressure, but I know sometimes my blood pressure can run high. I'm a mom of 4 boys, 5 if you include my husband. So
he's included.
Yeah. So that's really my advice, is to research the goal that you want to improve on, and to research the different avenues to take holistically or herbally, and to not become overwhelmed, right? Don't feel overwhelmed, and it's really easier than it seems. And once you get comfortable in that one goal and you feel like you've improved in that one goal, move on to the next. And before you know it, you're going to be like me. The honey sticks.
Alright.
So it's really, the syrup will be kind of liquidy.
Oh, it smells so good. Alright, don't hatch. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have like the burn in the garlic.
Yeah, so that one's been fermenting since January something.
That's really
And so over time, it'll even out.
Yeah,
The flavor
that's
will
not-
even out, yeah.
It
And so
sounds
I've used that
scary.
on salmon. Yes, it sounds scary, but it's not. And I think that's
Yeah.
part of the intimidating factor, right?
Yes.
I use it on salmon. I cook with it. I meant to say that.
Oh, I
but
bet that'd be
honey garlic.
So getting into that, right? So I'm off the top of my head, a lot of people are dealing with stress,
Mm-hmm.
anxiety,
Yes.
just up to here with responsibilities and feeling worried about what's coming, right? We don't know what's going on in the world. There's lots going
It can be a
on.
scary place.
We don't know what the future looks like or what it holds or what the gas prices are going to be tomorrow.
That's stressful enough every
Right?
time I drive up to the pump.
So what are some ways that, we could work with through that with natural remedies?
With natural remedies. Most people probably aren't going to like my answer to this, because it's not as simple as throwing an herb at an issue. If it were, and I can, if you want something to help with anxiety, lemon balm is a beautiful herb. Or if you want something to help with depression, we use St. John's wort. And these are just examples off the top of my head. If you want to go to sleep, lavender, chamomile, valerian root, we can make you go to sleep. We can calm you down. We can help you feel less depressed. But herbalism doesn't work in that way. That's how modern medicine works.
Yeah.
We work in a way that we're going to tell you that you got to do a little bit of work, and we're going to have to do a little bit of back and forth to find the right fit. Because again, it's not a one-size-fits-all answer for everybody. So the things that I would look at is, let's take sleeplessness for an example. That's a big problem. There's so much melatonin sold in this country.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And what doctors don't tell you, they'll tell you take a melatonin, but they don't tell you that if you take it over a long period of time, your body stops producing it.
Yes.
And so melatonin's not going to work forever, and then you're going to need to go to the next thing, and then the next thing.
Yeah.
And that's just how pharmaceuticals work. So herbs can work much in the same way. So we don't want to just keep throwing an herb at an issue but not solve the issue. So let's look at sleeplessness. There are people that suffer from insomnia to the left and right of you. We want to look at why you're not sleeping. Is it a digestive issue? What are you eating before you go to bed? What are you eating for dinner? We might have you keep a food journal for a week, 2 weeks, a month, depending on the need. What's your biggest stressors? Is it finances? Is it relationships? Because different herbs work with different kinds of stresses too. We find herbs that work beautiful with women that have stress, that hold the kind of stress that women have in families. And so what's your biggest stressor? What is your mind doing when you lay down to sleep? Is it chaotic? Is it running in circles? Are you darting around from one thing to the other? Because there's a different herb that we'll use to help you sleep that'll calm your mind.
Oh, wow.
So we want to look at that. Yeah. And then once we find out the core problem or the root of why you're not sleeping, then we can talk about what herbs to use to help with it.
Yeah.
And so the same thing for depression and anxiety is let's talk about the core root of what's going on. There's so many people that are in chronic pain, but what people don't understand is pain is inflammation most of the time. Inflammation starts in our gut. And when we talk about gut health, there are so many autoimmune diseases and just like I said, pain issues that start because of gut health. And so once we can clear up our gut health, and it doesn't always mean restrictive dieting. Right. Sometimes it means preparing our bodies better for eating. So we use a bitter to start getting the juices, the enzymes working in our digestive system so that our body's ready to digest the food when it's time to eat, So yeah, it's not a one herb fits all answer, but there are things that we do see that are correlated, And so when you buy like a sleepy time blend, I have 2 different blends in my store to go to sleep. They're going to do that for you. One blend is really good about calming the mind and helping our bodies with digestion so that we can fall asleep without worrying about stressing, being agitated, upset tummies.
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, but here's where an herbalist comes into play. That blend has lemon balm in it, and lemon balm has been shown to decrease thyroid function. So you don't want to do that with somebody that has thyroid issues.
Wow, yeah.
So I have a little herbalist warning on there that it's been shown to do this. I'm not here to say that if you take lemon balm once or twice, your thyroid function is going to decrease. This is just what we know about lemon balm, right? So then I have an alternative that's a little more safe for somebody that might have those concerns with thyroid issues that doesn't have the lemon balm in it.
So we've talked a lot about teas, right? So ingesting those different herbal remedies. However, I know that there's also, you said ointments, so topical treatments as well. So which one is more potent? Which one is going to get more bang for your buck?
Well, it really goes back to what are we trying to fix? What's the root problem, right? So if we look at an herb like St. John's wort, it's beautiful for depression. But if we put it on our skin, it's probably not going to help our mind, right?
True.
It's also a beautiful herb for skin issues. I have a client, not a patient, a client. I have a client that had shingles, and it's wonderful for helping with shingles pain.
Wow.
So we used a St. John's ointment, along with a couple other herbs, not just St. John's, for that shingles pain. And it helped really well. Wow. So it just really depends on what you're using it for. What root problem are we trying to help with?
Right.
Same with like comfrey. Comfrey is a wonderful herbal treatment for bruises and cuts and wounds and swelling, but we can also take it internally for inflammation. So it's going to just depend on, are you targeting inflammation from the inside or outside?
Wow, that's really interesting.
We know that things like liver health is linked to skin health. You see, I'm not immune to breakouts, but what this is a result of is me drinking some herbs that has to do with cleansing the liver out. So my skin is doing what I told my liver to do.
Yeah.
So it's just, like I said, we just have to look at the root cause, and then we'll decide, is this a topical treatment or an oral treatment or a tea? Right. And we have oral remedies that aren't just teas either. I've got elixirs and tinctures. I love a good tincture. They are like my favorite way to take herbs.
Can you describe what that is? Because I have no idea what a tincture is.
A tincture, yeah, of course. A tincture is an herbal concentrate.
Okay.
So like I said, earlier I put a little Vitex in my tea.
Right.
So what the process is that I've taken an herb, and there's a ratio for it. So I've formulated how much herb versus how much grain alcohol. So there are glycerite tinctures which are non-alcoholic, but you're using so little of the product. I don't generally make glycerite tinctures. I will if somebody says that they've got an abuse issue. I will do that, but it takes 6 weeks to make, so you'll have to be a little patient, right?
Right.
So a tincture is just a process of submerging the herbs in a grain alcohol for 6 weeks, and the alcohol will go in there and pull the constituents, the medicinal constituents, out of the herbs. That way you have an herbal concentrate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so there's a little method to that madness, though. It's better to use dry herbs. The alcohol is a preservative, right? Alcohol doesn't go bad. I've had alcohol in my pantry from my wedding, and we're just not big drinkers, so it's there. I know it's good if I ever want to drink it.
There you go.
And so it works really well with dry herbs, whereas if we use wet herbs or fresh herbs, I might do something more like an oxymel, which is what my wildfire is. We're going to try some later. It's half apple cider vinegar and half honey. And apple cider vinegar and honey work really well as hydrosols, where they go in and they pull the water out, and with the water comes the medicinal constituents.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, there's a little science in there.
A lot of science. So I know that with, going to the doctor, you take a pill and they say, okay, you need to take this every day for, a month or something, right? Or 6 weeks. That's how long they usually say it takes for it to start getting the effects, right? The desired effects.
Yes.
How does that work with herbal remedies?
Well, in this department, herbal remedies aren't that much different than modern day pharmaceuticals. So it just depends on what herb we're using, and again, what we're using it for. When we look at nervine herbs, we break them down into 2 categories: adaptogens and something that we would use in an acute situation. And adaptogens work really well over a long period of time to fortify our nervous system. So you're talking about things like holy basil and ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is everywhere right now. Astragalus, and the list goes on. Milky oats, hops, all these things are beautiful adaptogens that we feed ourselves consistently over a long period of time, and it fortifies our nervous system. But if I'm having a day where my mind is just frazzled or I can't calm it down, then I would take something that would help me in that moment. Skullcap is a beautiful calming herb. Lemon balm is a beautiful calming herb. In fact, there's been studies with lemon balm where they gave it to Alzheimer's patients because older people that suffer from dementia and Alzheimer's, they are really aggravated.
Yeah.
And so the studies showed that lemon balm calmed their minds down. And so that's something that I would take in the moment. Or I have ADHD, and I have a kid that's got ADHD, and there's so many kids that suffer from attention deficit or hyperactivity disorders. And go-to cola is a beautiful herb for calming down the nervous system, so that these kids and myself could get a little relief. Lion's mane mushroom, so good for cognitive function. Pretty much the same day you take it, you feel a little pep in your step.
If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like it and subscribe to the channel for more information like this.
Can we get tea for that?
Yeah.
A little break. Oh, I stabbed myself in the
It's with a stick.
Oh, well,
No, I'm
just,
just
that
kidding.
looks better than...
Yeah. I have a need to be a perfectionist sometimes. It's one of my issues. There's no
There's
herb.
a tea.
There's no herb.
There's no herb.